This is Delisa. I am coming to you live from my house today. Today I'm in my house and just trying to see what we can get here. Today we're going to learn about wholesaling real estate through lease options and subject to agreements. Now, if you have somebody who would like this, make sure you share it with them. Make sure you get all of your things in order. And I just like to say hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you can hear me, please put yes, I can hear you in your comments. I use this not just to know if you can hear me, but also to see what my time delay is. So I know how long I need to wait before I move on to the next subject, before you guys have questions or anything like that. That is why we do this. So if you can, just let me know who's in the chat box with us today. Hey, cool. All right. Hi, Regina. Hi, Sean. Hey, Susan. Loud and clear. Thank you. Cynthia, what's going on? How are you? We still need to get it. We need to get a chat, a one-on-one going. I haven't forgotten you. I've just gotten a little bit busy. Hey, Peggy, how's it going? So what we want to do today, we're going to get into these subject twos, okay? Because this is something that everybody has asked me about. It is so much fun. Yes, I do subject to. I'm actually in the process of doing a subject to, or whatever you want to call a lease option or whatever. But before we get started, we always have to introduce myself, just in case we have new people on that don't know me. You guys know me because you've been with me all week, but there are some others on here who may not. I am Delisa Robinson, owner and CEO of Trinity Alliance Group. I have been in this real estate game, out here in these real estate streets, rocking and rolling for 22 years. Don't let this baby face fool you. I am old, okay? Tag 716, Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo. That's our acronym, Tag 716. It is a full service real estate investment firm. And when I say full service, I'm going to get a little bit more into detail about what we've been doing with this particular topic. Real estate sales, that's retail. We can sell it to you on the market. Wholesale, we can sell it to you off the market. Social media marketing advocates. I love social media, and I've met most of you via social media, if not in person. We've met through my many social media outlets and channels. I met some of you in a group called Women Wholesaling Houses, or I met some of you on my Facebook page, Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo, or I met some of you in Black Girls Black Girls in Real Estate, or I met you in one of my real estate investment groups. However we met, I am glad we did. That is the main and important part. But the key element to all of that is we met on social media. That is where your audience is, that is where your clients are, that is where your business should be, which is why my network won't like it, but I have to let them know we are going to be heavy in this social media game starting Monday. Now, I am a business consultant. I have consulted many people on their own businesses, not just in real estate. We specialize over here at Trinity in new business formation, credit building, making sure your business is established correctly so that you can get credit. We actually have a book out about that right now. And we have strategies, because I don't care how great your product is, there's a strategy to get you out into the game so that people know who you are, and what you do. And if you follow along with us, we will be more than happy to tell you how that works. Real estate investment. That is my specialty, real estate investment. Like I said, I've been out here for 22 years and I've seen it, done it, and probably participated in all of it. So from losing a house to a foreclosure to new building a house, I've done it all. Believe me. I don't hide nothing. I can't hide anything from you, because if I hide something from you, you don't trust what I do. You don't trust what I do. I can't teach you what you need to know in order to be successful. Real estate when I say real estate investment, we have partnered up where allowed people to take investments on our projects, and we have put money out and partnered up with people on their investments. I've gone half on a flip with a couple of my clients. It's not nothing for me. And if I see money in it, I will do it. That's just how it works. Okay, so I am going to use my own experience right now in this topic, because I'm currently in the middle of this negotiation, this type of a negotiation. So it's going to be fun. Real estate investment lending. We have a division here at Trinity where we can take your information over the phone. We can take your information over the phone. We can take your information over the phone. And we can get you set up with a traditional lender, a hard money lender, or a private money dealer. Now, let me explain private money, even though we are going to have a full-fledged class on financing real estate, because it's so needed this day and age, because a lot of people don't understand how this works. That's a longer class, and that's also a class that I'm not going to have out for free, but it won't cost a lot either. I try not to charge a lot for the things that I do. Want to know why? Because if you're just getting into this real estate game, you can't afford it. And we're trying to make this affordable for all people to participate and build financial freedom and wealth for their families and for generations to come. That is the plan. I have a very large goal this year. My goal, when I say this year, those of you who don't know me, my year starts June 5th. I don't do January 1st. Because I wasn't born in January. I was born June 5th, as a matter of fact. It is the birthday. That is my day one of my new year. And I go from June 5th to June 4th. That's a year for me. So my new year is coming up. And in this new year, I have a plan where I want to help 1,000 people build a $1 million real estate portfolio. You heard me. That's the goal for this year. I want to help 1,000 people, companies. It can be a company. You can do it under your company, however. But we are going to kick this off live, June 5th. Okay, so get ready for it. And I want people to understand how this works. So portfolio building and management is also something that we do, and that's what the 1,000 people are going to be in. That's the program. They are going to build a $1 million real estate portfolio. You have to agree to certain things, and I will put that out there. I'm going to have a live about it, because I'm going to go live on our Facebook group a little bit more. Not the Facebook group, but the page. The Trinity Alliance group page is about to be lit up with lives, because I've got so many things that I got to do starting tomorrow morning. So let's get this one underway. So we are talking about lease options and subject twos. Lease options and subject twos. Today's agenda is a subject to and a lease option. Let's start with lease options, because they're easy to explain, and it's not a whole lot of detail in that, and there's not a whole lot of and contrary to popular belief, you don't have to live in the house to lease it. Okay, so let's get started. What is a lease option wholesale? Leasing a property for a period of time with an option to buy in the future. You become the landlord. See what I did there? Leasing a property for a period of time with an option to buy in the future. You become the landlord. It sounds like rent to own, but it's not. How lease options work is the seller negotiates a price with the wholesaler. The wholesaler then will negotiate a price with the tenant buyer. Now, how does that work? The seller and the wholesaler come up with a price. So say the seller wants $50,000 for their house. The wholesaler says, you know what? You want 50, my fee is 55. My fee is 5,000, so I need to tell my tenant buyer 5,000, 50,000. Do you require a down payment, seller? Seller says no. I can let you lease this property. So they're going to lease the property to me, the wholesaler. And I'm going to assign to a tenant buyer. Now, there are some cases where the tenant buyer, the tenant slash buyer has to put money down. They might have to, I would require it if I were you, and I'm going to show you this is no different. So these are two separate transactions, just like a normal wholesale deal would be. You go from the seller to the wholesaler to the buyer. Now we just have what we call the tenant buyer. Now a tenant buyer is your end buyer. However, it's just going to take a minute before the seller gets that big chunk of money. So the seller says, Miss Susie, our favorite seller, Miss Susie says she wants to sell her house for $50,000. She wants $50,000. Okay, Miss Susie, I'm interested in buying your house. You know her house isn't worth $50,000. You know this because the houses in the neighborhood, you've run your numbers, and all these classes we've been doing for the past 2-3 weeks. You guys, you know your numbers and everything. You know her house isn't worth 50, but she's adamant about wanting 50,000. Do you walk away from that, or do you still try to make money off of it? You still try to make money off of it, okay? Here's how. One, you can give it to your real estate agent partner that's on your team and let them list it. Or two, you can do a lease option. Well, Miss Susie, what about this? I understand you might want all of your money up front, but in today's market, that's not possible. So you figure out how to explain to Miss Susie how to do it. You're either going to talk her down on the price. If she's adamant about the price and Miss Susie's not she's not letting up on the price, then you need to find a way to get Miss Susie to accept a lease option. How does that work? Miss Susie, what about this? You hold that mortgage. I will pay you on a monthly basis, X amount of dollars. I'll give you $500 a month, Miss Susie. Or say her rent at her new place or her mortgage at her new place is $1,000. I'll give you $750. That way you're only coming out your pocket with $250. I will pay you the $750 every month. You charge the end buyer a deposit of $10,000. So now the contract is going to say $50,000 with a deposit for $10,000. Miss Susie didn't require you to have a deposit. So you only owe Miss Susie $50,000. The $10,000 deposit is your assignment fee. Now there are some other things that are going to go into this. The tenant buyer is now going to agree to take over the payments that you promised Miss Susie. So they're paying Miss Susie that $750 a month. They're paying her this. Your attorney's going to draw up the paperwork where they're going to send the paper. They're going to send the payment. You can have it done 2 ways. You can have, well, 3. One of 3 ways this can happen. The tenant buyer can pay your attorney, and your attorney sends Miss Susie her $750 every month. The tenant buyer can pay you, the wholesaler, and you pay Miss Susie every month her $750. Or you or your tenant buyer can pay Miss Susie directly. That's how that works. And then there's a clause in there. You put clauses in there as to if the rent is late, if this, if that, who's responsible for the taxes, the water bills, the insurances, and everything else. You have to put all of that in a contract that works. So as far as Miss Susie knows, she's renting you the house, leasing you the house. But she also knows that you have it in your contract that you can assign and sublease it to someone else if you want to. That always has to be in your agreement, okay? Don't think it don't have to be. So if you do that, so say we did that. Now Miss Susie's agreeing to rent out her 4-bedroom, 2-bath home for $750. We know that's not realistic, but we're using round numbers because y'all been with me before. Y'all know I'm bad at math. So we're using round numbers. So say you told this tenant buyer you needed $10,000 down. They give you $10,000 down. Miss Susie doesn't want a down payment, so the $10,000 becomes your assignment fee, right? Unless you tell what you're going to tell you. I'm sorry, let me back up because I see where I made the mistake and I'm probably confused somebody. Miss Susie wants $50,000. You want $60,000 from your tenant buyer. They say, okay, they give you 10,000 down. You keep 10. Miss Susie gets 50. That's how that works. It's no different than a normal wholesale deal. If she wanted 50, you would have said you wanted 60. You would have kept the assignment fee. She would have got a check for 50,000. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, everything is done. Right? Right. Same thing happens in a wholesale deal, in a lease option. It's the same thing, only the property is not transferring ownership just yet. It's the same thing, only that property is not transferring ownership. Okay. So I'm going to say it again. Miss Susie, our favorite seller, wants to sell her home and she wants $50,000. All the taxes, everything is caught up down to zero. Cool. Great. There's nothing on this house because you still will get a title search. Okay? You have to still get a title search. I don't care what type of wholesaling you're doing, you need to get your titles done. Okay, so Miss Susie's going to sell it to Tag 716. Tag 716 is going to market this property at 60. We might market it for 75,000 and have somebody talk us down to 60. This is how people, when you see people getting these big, huge checks for 25, 30,000, this is how they're doing it. Don't everybody rush out and try and do lease options. Study up on this, okay? Remember what I told you, what we do in the lunch and learn, you need to go out and learn some more. This 1 hour course is not going to make you a master. So you have to be able to go out, and I give you enough information so you can go and out in the world and get more educated about this. Okay, so Miss Susie sells to Tag 716. Tag 716, Sean, you're on here again, so I'm going to put you on as my end buyer. The Hundley Group decides that they want to be my tenant buyer. So Sean goes, you know what? I don't have 60 grand, but I have 10,000 down. Would you consider holding the mortgage for me? I've already negotiated that deal with Miss Susie. So I'm like, yeah, well, what about this, Sean? I know you want the house. You got 10 grand down? Yes. All right. So 60,000, you give me 10, and then you pay me on a monthly basis, interest free, or whatever your agreement is with Miss Susie. If Miss Susie is charging you interest and you charge your end buyer interest, if they're not charging you, you can charge them interest regardless, to be honest, if you choose to stay in the middle. And you're going to see this in the next slide. There's something about meeting me in the middle, and I'll explain that. So Miss Susie sells to Tag 716. She leases to Tag 716. Tag 716 does a lease option with the Hundley Group. The Hundley Group gives Tag 716 a $10,000 deposit. And then now all the monthly payments go to Miss Susie. We've already made our money. We're done. Your job, though, is to make sure that the Hundley Group is still making the payments. Now, they can make that payment one of three ways. They can pay it to your escrow attorney, and your escrow attorney will pay out to Miss Susie. They can pay it to you, and you can pay out Miss Susie. Or they can pay it to Miss Susie directly. Once they do this, they are responsible. The tenant buyer becomes responsible for the property. They take on the taxes. They must have the insurance. They must have the grass cut, the snow shovel, the taxes, the insurance, the water bills, the fees, the user fees, the county taxes, the school taxes. That all becomes that tenant buyer's responsibility. Miss Susie is done. Oh, she don't want to hear nothing about your sink leaking, okay? This is your house. You can even have your name put on the deed. If Miss Susie is smart, what she's going to do is she's going to quit deed that property to you, and she's going to have that attorney file a mortgage for the remainder. That way, she still gets her money if you try to sell it. The house comes back to her if you don't make your payments. That is lease options and how they work. Okay. Now, when I say meet me in the middle, here's what I mean. The seller pays the wholesaler, makes a deal with the wholesaler. The wholesaler makes a deal with the tenant buyer. So the tenant and the buyer in the middle. So it's either the wholesaler, the seller is going to go to the wholesaler is with the tenant buyer. The tenant buyer is on, the seller is also on the other end because they're going to receive a check for a certain amount after the determined amount of time. So if Miss Susie agrees to this lease option arrangement with Tag 716, and Tag 716 does a lease option with the Hundley Group for 1 year. Okay. After that 1 year, the Hundley Group is responsible for whatever is left. So they're making the house payment on $60,000. Tag 716 gets $60,000 from the Hundley Group. Okay. So Miss Susie and Tag 716 agreed to $50,000. Tag 716 and the Hundley Group agreed to $60,000 with a $10,000 deposit. Tag 716 now can back out because we've been paid. The Hundley Group steps up and pays Miss Susie for 1 year at $1,000. So they've already paid 10, which brought it down to 50. Then they pay another 12, which will bring it down to 38. Then they go and refinance this property for $38,000 or more if they want to pay off their other bills. And they give Miss Susie her $38,000. That's why Miss Susie's on both ends of this deal, because she had a deal to sell it, and then in the middle, we had a deal to give it back to her. Now, the reason why Miss Susie is going to stay on the end of this deal is because if wholesaler or tenant buyer, Tag 716 or the Hundley Group, don't make their payments, there's a clause in the contract that says the house goes back to Miss Susie. If we do make our payments as agreed, and then we refinance or we have enough money to pay her out with $38,000, she's still on the end of this deal because she's getting a bigger check. That's lease options and how they work. Okay? Any questions on the lease options? You can feel free to put them in. Now we're going to talk about the criteria. While you guys get your questions together, we're going to talk about the criteria. The owner wants to sell, but is open to leasing, in parentheses, we say renting in case that makes it easier for you to understand, to own. The tenant buyer pays a deposit. That deposit is your assignment fee or part of your assignment fee. The reason why I say part of is, say Miss Susie wanted a $5,000 deposit. If Miss Susie wants a $5,000 deposit and you want a $5,000 deposit, that means your end buyer, tenant buyer, the Hundley Group in this scenario, has to give you a $10,000 deposit so that you can give 5 of it to Miss Susie. Or they're going to give you a $15,000 deposit because you want a $10,000 assignment fee, and then you're going to give 5 to Miss Susie. However it works. Just make sure you have your numbers firm before you start offering this type of deal out, because you can make a mistake and then you end up losing somewhere along the line. Okay, how do mistakes happen? Simple. Miss Susie wants 10,000, you want 5,000, but you tell your end buyer you only want 10. Guess what? Miss Susie's getting 10, you're not getting squat. So you have to do this. Make sure your numbers are airtight and in writing. Okay, guys? Don't do it. All right. Now, the agreement is between the owner and the tenant buyer because you are the assigner in the middle. Some wholesalers do prefer to stay in the middle on these deals because they want to ensure that the tenant is making their payments, and they want to know that they can evict those tenants and find new tenants if they don't. So you can do that too. You can do that too. You can have a lease option agreement between you and Miss Susie. You can have a lease option agreement between you and the tenant buyer. It's no different than when you do a double close. You have two separate agreements. And still the money is just passing through you. So you're still in the middle. Your attorney is still in the middle. Everybody is in the middle. See what I'm saying? All right. You guys are good. You guys are good. I'm telling you, you're not asking a whole lot of questions. So I'm assuming you understand this. Now, subject to. Subject to is just like it sounds. Remember when you're in English, when you're in school and they started teaching you how to write letters and they say, oh, subject to, or the subject of. It's the same situation here. This is subject to what? Subject to the mortgage that is attached to the house. That's what subject to is. It is either the mortgage that's attached to the house. So with subject to, assuming the mortgage in lieu of paying the balance in full. That is the most simplest, cleanest, clearest way to advise you of what subject to is. Subject to is wholesaling with a mortgage and not paying that mortgage off right away. That's what subject to is. Now, how subject to works? There's still three people involved, but it's just you and the seller. And then there's the bank. Now, this is going to get a little tricky. So, Miss Susie sells to Tag 716. Tag 716 sells to Bank of America. Not sells to Bank of America, but they're going to sell it on the wholesale market, or they might rent it out for a little while, or you might hold it for 90 days, renovate it, and then you might sell it for more money. But Miss Susie gets paid out at closing, which is the closing when you sign the deed into your name. The deed goes in your name, but the mortgage stays in Miss Susie's name. You understand that? Say you don't understand it. If you don't understand it, I'll say it simpler and I'll switch it around. So I cannot move past this point until everybody understands that. Okay, let me sign it. Thank you for being honest. When you say you don't understand, you don't understand. I get it. Okay, so how this works, let me go back because my fingers clicked too quick. Miss Susie decides to sell her property. However, Miss Susie has a mortgage. So Miss Susie owes about $100,000 on her mortgage. But Miss Susie wants to walk away with $25,000. Okay, so you don't have anybody who wants to buy her or purchase her property for $25,000 because, yeah, the ARV says $250, but they don't have that type of cash, this, that, and the other, whatever. So you might be a little more seasoned than a newer wholesaler. You might have some money in the bank. You get your contractor in there. He goes, hey, I can get this done for you in 90 days, 60 days, however long he tells you he can get it done. And then what you do is you front the renovation costs and then you sell it on the retail market. Okay, that's how subject to works. Subject to works as this. So Miss Susie's gonna contact Tag 716. She wants to sell her property, but I owe a mortgage and the house needs some work. So it's currently not worth a whole lot. I would be willing to walk away with $25,000 in my pocket just to move and start somewhere else. Okay. So I'm like, okay, Miss Susie, let's try this out. How much are you behind on the mortgage? And this is where a lot of other parameters are going to get into play. So I need to find out how much she's behind on her mortgage. So she says she's behind on her mortgage about 10 grand. Okay. So in my head, I'm up to how much? $100,000 she owes. She's $10,000 behind. She wants $25,000 for her pocket. So I need to be all in. I need to have at least $35,000 in cash on hand. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to pay her at closing. Closing is when the deed is going to be transferred into my name. The mortgage is going to stay in her name. And the next couple of slides is going to explain to you how that works. So Miss Susie's I'm going to assume Miss Susie's mortgage. I'm going to catch it up. I'm going to pay her $25,000 to walk away. We're going to do paperwork with my attorney to put this property in the name of a trust ran by me. So it might be tag 716 trust. And then the trust now owns the property. Miss Susie still has a mortgage. Through the trust, I pay her mortgage every month. I pay up what needs to be caught up, and then I pay the monthly mortgage. She's done because she walked away. I gave her $25,000 already. She's done. So this is so that we don't have to pay out the whole 100 grand right away. You do have to pay it eventually. You just don't have to pay it right now. Everybody understand that part? So my contractor then says, not only does this give you a longer time to wholesale the property, it also gives you a potential for more money. So say you are a more seasoned collector. I keep going back to my collection days. Say you are a more seasoned wholesaler out here in these real estate investment streets. And you got a little nest egg of about $60,000 saved up. It's nothing for you to give Miss Susie $25,000, pay her back mortgage at $10,000. So now you're $35,000 in. Your contractor says it's going to cost you maybe about $10,000, $15,000 to bring this up to date. And at that point, you might be able to sell it for $200 to $225. Would you not do that and get your money back plus a profit? That's subject to. But you want to do it quickly so that the bank gets their money. You want to do it extremely quick. So that's when you put a little elbow grease in there. You might just paint the walls, like say every color in every room in our house was wallpaper. You might just take the wallpaper down and paint it and then sell it for $150, knowing that they could put some work into it and sell it for $250 to $300. You immediately make your money back because your $35,000 comes back to you. The bank gets their money, and you walk away with a profit. Done. That's how that works. Okay, subject twos. Now, the criteria for a subject to is this: you have to negotiate the price. So if Miss Susie owed $100,000 and she said, I'll sell it for $125,000, that means she's willing to walk away for $125,000, for $25,000. You catch up the mortgage, pay her the $25,000, or you could even say, hey, let me give you $15,000 because I'm paying $10 grand on your mortgage. She might be like, okay. Or she might say, you know what, $35,000 total, and that includes the 10 grand. So she still gets her $25,000. You never know. Miss Susie might be a little bit smarter than that. Who knows? You need to get proof of the balance that's owed. You still have to order a title. Your attorney has to put the property in a trust. The reason for the trust is so that the bank doesn't try to come in and say, I want my money, and you don't have it. That's why we do it this way. So once your attorney puts it into a trust and set up the payments through the escrow company for the existing mortgage. That's how that works. The trust is going to pay the mortgage. The mortgage is still in the name of the seller. Miss Susie's name is still on the mortgage, not on the deed to the house. After agreed upon time, you either pay off the bank or you return the property to Miss Susie as is, which means all that renovation you did, if you can't sell it or you can't pay it off, then you can't pay it off. Or you need to go back to Miss Susie and renegotiate some terms. Everybody understand this so far? Because we're almost done. Everybody understand this so far? The seller will get their profit at closing. That's why you have to come up with all of this money. The seller will come up with their money at closing. Okay, good. I'm glad you're getting this. I'm glad you're getting this, Cynthia. Great. Now, so that's how this works. In your agreement, you have to have a non-payment stipulation. If Tag 716 doesn't pay this mortgage to the bank and we are more than 30 days late or anything, this property reverts back to Miss Susie. If we're more than 60 days late, this property reverts back to Miss Susie in as-is condition, which means Miss Susie's getting a new house that she's just going to put on the market and sell. And you don't get anything. So that's why you want to do this. You want to do it so that you want to do it quickly. That's why you want to do this very quickly so you can get your money back. You can get your money out of it. So you can make $15,000 the way I just explained it. $10,000 goes to the bank. $25,000 goes to Miss Susie. You get it, you update it a little bit. Maybe you put like $5,000 into it. So now you're at 140. You sell it at 150. You get 10. Miss Susie's paid off. She's walked away. The bank is paid off. They walked away. You still made your assignment fee. A lot of people are doing this now because it makes sense for them to do it. Exactly, Cynthia. So no matter what, Miss Susie is making out like a fat rat if you don't do what you're supposed to do. Because not only did she get $25,000 of your dollars up front, but she getting her house back improved, renovated. Now, earlier I said I'll explain, I'll use my own situation in this. Okay, so I have a guy who is in Alabama. He's in Alabama. His mom passed away a couple years ago. Her house was a duplex, 2-family. Upstairs, there's a cousin who's living in the house. He's been cutting the grass, shoveling the snow, taking care of the property. He actually took care of the mom because the kid was out of town up until the mom passed away. So the cousin only pays $250 a month for rent. That's really the cousin homie discount. We don't play that around here. Don't do that. I'm telling you, when you get into a portfolio building, which we will get into, you get into a portfolio building, we don't do this, all right? Don't do it. Now, so I contact this guy in Alabama, say, hey, what do you want to do? The house, blah, blah, blah. He says, okay. I said, well, what about this? What do you want for it? He said, well, it's worth about 120. I said, no, it's not. I've gone through the house, and I said it nicer than that, but for sake of time, it wasn't worth 120. So I go through the house, I tell him all the things that I saw. The kitchen needs to be updated, the bathrooms need to be updated. The living room still has the carpet from 20 years ago when his mom was living, and the carpet that's in there was popular at that time. So the house needs some love. Not a lot, just some love. So we're going to give it some love. He said, okay. I said, well, what do you want? He said, what about 80? So we agreed on 80,000 if he holds the mortgage, which is a lease option. All right. That's the lease option. So that's where, but anyway, guys, if you have questions about what we talked about, you can start loading them in the chat box while I tell you why I finish this story. So he's going to give me the property. I'm going to put $15,000 down. I'm going to keep the cousin for a year, not at $250 though. The cousin can pay $250 for 90 days, and then his rent goes up to $500 for 9 months, and then he's going to go up to $650 only because of where the house is located and things like that. So, and I'm going to pay a certain amount every month. After the 1 year is up, then I owe the balloon payment, or he gets his house back. That's a lease option. I'm telling you, I'm getting ready to do this a little bit more. This is a quick way for you people who want to increase or build a rental portfolio. This is another way for you to do it quicker and not have to have a whole lot of money in the game. All right. So that's where I'm starting to rebuild on the property side, on the buy and hold side through lease option. Okay, Sean is saying she needs me to explain a little more about assigning this to a buyer. Assigning a subject to? Okay, so going back to subject to, when you go back to subject to, what we're gonna do is this. I'm gonna go back to the slide just so you can see it. So the seller is Miss Susie. Miss Susie wants to sell this house. She wants $25,000 for her pocket. The bank is owed $100,000, but she's $10,000 behind on this mortgage. It's going to take $10,000 to get it up. So you got it. So she's all in at $110,000. So 110, you put 10,000 to move her to. You're going to have to pay 10,000 to get her back in good standing. She's going to walk away with 25,000 and deed the property over to you or your company in a trust. In a trust, not deeding it over to you. She's going to deed it over to a trust. Attorneys, real estate attorneys know how to set this paperwork up. Start getting in touch with your real estate attorneys and asking them how this process is supposed to work for your area. Because remember, I am in New York, one of the toughest states in the nation to do anything. So make sure you understand how to do this in your area, what's required. So what I have to do, or basic information of what you have to do, this property has to be put into a trust. The trust is going to receive from you or from you a payment every month. That payment is going to be paid to the bank, or your trust may set it up so that you pay the bank directly. If that happens, I suggest you set it up where the payments come out automatically. Then what happens is you and your crew now have time to go and market this property to someone else, where you now can do what we call a wholesale deal. It will be a transfer. You would sell it. It will be a purchase agreement. It's not so much as an assignment when you do a subject to. An assignment on a subject to is done immediately. You may have to purchase, the deed goes into your trust. So your trust is then going to sell this property to someone else. Okay, because Miss Susie walked away, she's done. The only reason Miss Susie's going to get back involved in this is if you don't pay that mortgage. Other than that, Miss Susie don't care. Now, normally you can make an agreement with Miss Susie. In the agreement, how long are you going to make this mortgage payment before you sell this house? I suggest giving yourself 6 months. I don't care if you sell the house in 90 days, but you want to have at least 6 months to a year in case something comes up, because something always comes up in real estate. Now, Sean, I hope I answered your question, sweetie, because there is not really an assignment fee when you assign it to the end buyer. What you do is you assign it to an end buyer, and then the bank gets a check cut out of those proceeds, and you get the rest. So if the end buyer agrees to pay you $175, remember the bank gets $100. You get the $65. So you're going to get, there's your $25,000 back that you gave Miss Susie. There's a $10,000 back you had to pay in foreclosure fees or pre-foreclosure fees and whatever. And then there's also your profit. So the bank got $100. You got 75. Miss Susie's 25 that you paid out, that comes back. So now you got a profit of 50. You paid 10,000 to a bank to get this property out of default. So now you're at 40. Don't forget to cover what we covered way, way, way long time ago, carrying cost. It costs you how much per month to keep this property. Also, if you had to make any improvements or put any improvements to it, you put that in and you count that out of that 75,000. You have to learn and understand how to calculate your profit. And a lot of people miss that part. So that might be another, oh, excuse me, I had to burp, excuse me. That might be a whole nother class in itself, is your profits. Because that's one thing people don't understand in this real estate game. You have, when you're in profit, you have to take everything you've spent out of the deal before you have a profit. Okay, Susan is asking, how long does a seller usually hold the mortgage? Anywhere from 1 to 2 years is common. 1 to 2 years for a seller to hold a mortgage is common. Okay, so Sean, I don't know what your question was, Sean, but I'm glad I answered it. Yes, Cynthia, in order to do a subject to, you have to have some type of money on hand, or you got a buyer that can make this, that can do these payments, but it's going to take a little while to get. But if you're going to do that, you might as well just do a normal wholesale deal. Yep, but a subject to, you have to have money on hand. That's why when we say wholesaling, you have little to no money down. A little bit of money sometimes has to be down. And like I said before, anything between 25, I would say nowadays 30,000 and under is considered a little money. Oh, regarding the mortgage owed. Okay, yeah, gotcha. So that is how the wholesaling subject twos work. Now, you guys, if you don't walk away and say, I'm confused, okay? If you have questions, we still have time. Nobody's in a rush. I don't have to be anywhere till 3:30, which means I got a couple of more hours. So what you have to do is, if you have questions, ask, okay? Now, while you're thinking about your questions, as always, you can join our affiliates, Tag 716 University, which will be up and running this weekend, and Tag 716 Network and Mastermind Facebook group. Well, let's go back to the university. Tag 716 University is where we're going to have all of our online classes. We go a little bit more in depth in our wholesale boot camp. That's where we definitely go more in depth into each one of the different wholesale options, how to set up your business, how to put your business, how to market properties. We go in depth, more in depth in these 30 to 1 hour sessions on Lunch and Learn will actually give us. That will be out, and I will most certainly and definitely send everyone an email when that is out. Tag 716 Mastermind and Facebook Network and Mastermind Facebook group. That is for any business, not just a real estate business. Any business owner or wannabe business owner can join in, get tips, tricks, and network and mastermind with other like-minded people. Because let's be clear, and anybody who's had a business or started a business that is listening to the sound of my voice, I guarantee you started your business without the support of your family. Your family doesn't share your posts on Facebook, they don't do this, and you feel a little defeated. Don't. That's normal. It just means your family and your friends are not your audience. Seek out your tribe, find your tribe, and push your products. The Tag 716 Wholesale Network is where we have a nationwide network of wholesalers who are ready and willing and able to find properties for your investors across this beautiful country we call the United States of America. They are out and about, they're knowledgeable because they've gone through all of our boot camp classes. They're affiliated with us. We also have our affiliates with our attorney's office, our inspectors, our appraisers, and our title companies all nationwide to assist and help you with whatever it is that you may need help with while you are out here in these real estate streets establishing your business. We also have all of our social media outlets. We are Trinity Alliance Group of Buffalo Inc. on Facebook, tag.716 on our lovely Instagram page. And at tag716_team is where you can find all of our little tweets or retweets. See what we got going on. And then we also have our YouTube channel, which is just tag716. If in the meantime, you have any questions or comments, you can always reach us at info@tag716.com. We'll be more than happy to assist you with everything that we have going on. Our official website will be up within the next 2 weeks. I was literally on the phone with our web developer last night, going over the details. So if you don't have any other questions about subject to or lease options, please, please, please be here to join us tomorrow as we go over some other things pertaining to the real estate world. Now, we have talked about everything wholesale. We have talked about everything setting up businesses and how to get business operational and up and running. If there is a topic that you would like us to cover on our Lunch and Learns, don't hesitate to send us an email to info@tag716.com and we will be more than happy to discuss your topic. Now, what we have coming up, we are going to go over your profits and how to calculate your profits so that you're not wasting a lot of time and money. We are going to go over real estate financing in detail, and we are going to start getting into the world of building your real estate portfolio. So with that being said, if you guys have any questions, any comments, any subjects that you need us to learn, please, please, please let us know, and we will be more than happy to assist. And look in your emails because there might be some type of coupon code for those of you who might be interested in joining the Tag 716 network or getting in on the boot camp that's going to come up in June. Alrighty, if you have not already, please continue to have a blessed day. Be safe, stay home if you can. Love your babies, love your family, and enjoy the day. Have a good one, guys.